right. So we're here the whole weekend. So we'll start this morning. We'll pick it up gradually. And then we'll still do tomorrow morning. Praise God. We have always believed, for the years we have done marriage coaching and all that, we have always believed that when there's intimacy between a couple, they literally can survive anything that comes. Once there's intimacy, real intimacy between a couple. You can't choose the challenges that life will throw at you. You don't get to choose. If we got to choose, that would have been so nice, but we don't get to choose. Life just happens. But what you can choose is how intimate you can be with your spouse. Once there is solid intimacy between a couple, what we have found out is that they can survive anything. They can survive infertility, they can survive infidelity, they can survive insufficient funds, they can survive interference, they can survive anything once they are solid. That's what we found out. Most times when people say our marriage broke because of so and so, it is really never that thing they are mentioning. It was the lack of intimacy that gave birth to that thing. A lot of times what they are mentioning is a symptom and not the root cause. Is somebody following what we're saying? So your job and my job and our jobs as married people is to consciously build that intimacy. So this morning, we're going to run through some things that can help you build intimacy. In fact, we're taking it from the word intimate. We're using an acronym intimate. Intimate. We're using an acronym intimate. Yeah, do it. So intimate, or in this case, yes, intimate, which simply means into your mate or into my mate. Into my mate. How intimate are both of you? How into your mate are you? The thing about intimacy is that it is either consciously growing or unconsciously fading. All right? It is either consciously growing or unconsciously what? Fading. Okay, so intimate, we're going to start. I'm going to do letter I. Letter I. We're using the acronym intimate. Letter I is intentionality. Intentionality. So, if you are going to build intimacy with your partner, I like an illustration somebody gave. Somebody said, when a couple or two things are like this, you find out that something can easily break them. When they are locked this way, it's more difficult. That's what intimacy is. So life happens, things will happen. When people say, my husband lost his job or we got broke, that's why I'm married. No, that's not why your marriage broke. Because if you check it, there will be people that have gone through worse financial situations and even made them closer. There are couples that have said, we got married and we couldn't have kids. That's why the marriage broke. No, but there are people that have stayed and not been able to have kids. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? I'm saying, look, you can't choose what's going to happen, but you can choose to be intimate. And remember, if it's not consciously growing, it is unconsciously fading. So intentionality is the first I. And nobody stays the same. So some couples, as I'm speaking, are consciously fading. When the divorce is announced, it's not when the divorce happened. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to tell you. When it happens, it's not when it's announced, it's not when it happens. Marriages don't break overnight, they break over time. Okay? Marriages don't break overnight. Most times we say, they just announced it was overnight. It was never overnight. It was over time. So the first I is intentionality. You can't build intimacy without being intentional. You can't leave it to chance. You must be intentional. A wise man said, good couples are compatible by chance, but great couples are compatible by choice. Very important. Good couples are compatible by chance. They're allowing things just happen. But great couples are compatible by choice. If if we don't achieve anything else today, can we all become intentional about being intimate? Intentional. Most ladies are intentional about how they look. They know where to go and make their hair. They research it. They get referrals. They know the best color for their makeup. They research it. They get referrals. Most guys are intentional about their cars. They make sure there's no scratch. Make sure everything is well maintained and serviced. That level of intentionality is the same thing you need in being intimate with your spouse. So we're traveling some months ago on a particular flight. And when we sat on the seat, we found out there was a small barricade, a kind of a barricade between the two seats. They put those barricades there just in case the two people are not flying together. So, but we were flying together, so we needed to bring it down. So I called the attendant and I said, how do we bring this thing down? There were two buttons on both sides that were pointing down and up. So I asked the guy, how do we bring it down? They said, both of you need to press the down button at the same time for it to come down. I said, great. I said, but how do we bring it up? He said, only one person needs to press it for it to go up. So it dawned on me that to build intimacy, the two people need to do it intentionally. But to create a wall or to scatter the marriage, only one person. It's amazing. For it to work, two people must be intentional. For it to fail, just one unwilling person. Just one. So sometimes it's not even about how good you are. It's always about how good the team is. Many people say, I'm so loving, I'm so kind, I'm so nice. That's not what will guarantee success. The other person on the other side of that wall needs to also be on that same mind or page with you. Intentionality. Are two of you pressing it down at the same time to build that intimacy, or is one person putting up a wall? And I've learned in most situations that in most, not all, but in most cases, especially when the marriage is rocky, there's one person in every marriage that appears that he has nothing to lose if this marriage breaks. There's always that one person. Nobody should look anyhow, so that we won't know who is the person in your house. But usually in my counseling couples, I've discovered there's one of them that appears as if I don't care. You know, it's like when those two women went to Solomon and they had their baby issue. One said, let's kill the baby. There's always that one person. Let's kill this marriage. Why am I even married? Let's divorce. So that person, you see that word divorce flies out of their mouth often. They are the ones kind of causing trouble. I'm here to tell you, if you are that person, you know, because most times there's somebody that is very good. Most times, I know this is not all the case. There's some cases where both are very bad, both are very good. But in most cases, there's somebody that is very good and giving in that marriage. I hope you know who it is in my own house. You should know by now.
I was just about to ask.
You should know by now. But in all fairness, this woman is amazing. She's a giver naturally. You know, one of my daughters is like her. When you see those people, they are good people. I don't know if you have met those people. Some of you are like that. They're just good people. In fact, a moron can marry that person and have a good marriage. That person is a good person. They never think of themselves first. They're always considering the other person. That marriage is more dependent on this other guy that appears not to care so much. There's always that person. Sometimes a man, sometimes a woman that doesn't care. Like I said, in this marriage, I'm the caring person. Okay, it's a lie. She's the caring person. She's the caring one. So, most times that marriage is dependent on that other person becoming willing. If that person never gets willing, you'll find out if you have, I know Rev has dealt with a lot of people that are trying to divorce, whatever. There's one always willing to work. Let's work on it. Let's try. I'm ready. But there's one always saying, coming up with different things. I'm not happy. The bed is not well laid. The food is not, there's no pepper. No, they are just coming up with excuses. If you are like that, because I was that person in my house. If you are like that, you can have an incredible marriage if you become intentional. If you can match the energy of your partner. Stop being the person that feels you don't care. See, you even deserve to be happy. And this I don't care attitude will also make you unhappy. I was driving in Houston. I saw one billboard. They said cheap divorces. I said it's a lie of the devil. There's no divorce that is cheap. It's a lie of the devil. They are telling you lies. No divorce is cheap. No marriage is cheap, but no divorce is cheap either. They will all take work. So point number 1, I, is intentionality. So the question is, how intentional are you as a couple to build intimacy? How intentional? Coming for this meeting definitely is part of being intentional. But apart from that, how intentional have you been in terms of building intimacy between you and your partner? It is an intentional act. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I was thinking you're going to give them 1 minute to write some things they need to be intentional about.
Okay.
So maybe you should take a minute and write something you think you should be more intentional about in your marriage. Because I don't want this to just be us preaching at you and then you go home and everything is the same. So maybe write something your partner can hold you accountable to.
Yes.
Maybe you need to pray together more. You need to go on dates together more. You need to stop complaining about having a headache every time he wants to have sex. I'm just saying. Just putting it out there. So, 30 more seconds.
You can even discuss it as a couple.
Yeah.
That is what we need to do to be more intentional.
Close earlier some days.
Yeah.
Keep work in the office. Send the children somewhere for date nights.
To the orphanage.
I feel like the men you will need an extra pastor. I can leave him behind. Okay. So let's go to the second one because we have quite a journey. Okay, so to be intentional, apart from, to be intimate, apart from being intentional, the second thing we need to do, which stands for N, is to meet each other's needs. You need to meet each other's needs. So N stands for needs. One of the things I found out is that we're responsive to the people that give to us. And it may not be easy at first, but it's something, remember, we're talking about intentionality as well. So it's something that you need to be intentional about. And when I say meet needs, I'm not just talking about things that are physical needs. All kinds of needs, emotional needs. Sometimes your partner needs a hug. You may, something interesting happened last weekend. We ministered at a church in Dallas. And so they were playing a game and they had couples on stage. And so they put the women on this side and the men on this side. And they asked the men, when your wives want to relax, what guilty pleasure do they want? And the first man wrote, massage, day at the spa. And they asked his wife, she said, chocolate. The second man, they asked him, I think he said something about shopping or something like that. And they asked the wife, she said crisps, just chips, a bag of chips. They asked the third man, he said a vacation in Bali or something. He said something like that. And she said, what did she say? I can't even remember. It was something so silly. Ice cream. She said ice cream. And then it occurred to me that one of the reasons why we're always complaining about needs not being met in marriage is because we're not speaking the same language. Half the time, men have big dreams and they always want to do this grand thing. So they don't remember your birthday because they're planning something they will do at the 20th anniversary. And this is your second year in marriage. So the woman is frustrated and the man is thinking, I have a plan for our 20th. I'm going to buy her a house. And she just wants you to buy her ice cream, a tiny tub of ice cream. That's all she needs. So a lot of times people are complaining about, I'm doing everything. She's not. It's because you're not speaking her love language. For you to be able to meet someone's need, you must speak their love language. You must be speaking what they can understand. So if you're saying to someone in French, I love you, and the person only speaks German, no matter how many times you say it, you're not going to communicate correctly to that person. So it's the same thing. If your partner likes quality time and you're always buying gifts, you will think your partner is ungrateful, but you are not meeting their needs. I'll give you an example. So one of my love languages is quality time. I came to Houston to have my son. Was it David? Yeah, came to have my son. So, of course, all of you in America know that you need a car to move around. If not, you're going to be frustrated here. It's not like Nigeria or anywhere else. No, before Uber, of course. And so when Pastor K brought me here, dropped me off with the girls, I was going to have David, my son, the last one. So he dropped me off, and the day before he left back to Nigeria, so he just came drop me, and he would leave me here for a few months, that kind of thing. So he just disappeared early in the morning and didn't come back till about 4 p.m. And he drove in with this car, brand new SUV, lovely, was a Ford? Something. He drove in with the car, came into the house so excited. Honey, come outside, come outside. Girls, come outside. So my daughters followed me outside with my big tummy, rolled myself outside, got there, and it was like, ta-da! And I just stood there looking at the car, looking at him. He said, "This is your car." I said, "Okay." He said, "What do you mean, okay? I left since morning. I went to look for the perfect car for you." He just went on and on, and I was just looking at him. I said, "Okay." He said, "You didn't even say thank you." I said, "Thank you." So I went inside. "Won't you collect the key?" I said, "Thank you." He gave me the key. I went inside. So he followed me. "You didn't even drive the car." So my girls were like, drive the car, drive the car." I said, "Okay, let's go." Went outside, drove it around the estate where we were staying, came back to the house, dropped the key, went into the house. And so he couldn't take it anymore. So like about an hour later, he had been sulking. I didn't even know he was sulking because I was sulking. So he came to meet me that, there are things I do that makes me feel like you're ungrateful. I said, "Ungrateful?" He said, "Yes, I just bought you a car." I said, "Do you know, you're leaving tomorrow. And I'm just thinking, you could have spent the day with me. And you left me here all day. And you came back with a car." Now, men will never understand what I just said now. Because they are thinking, so if I spend time with you, how will you be moving around when I go? Because men are problem solvers, right? But men will think from their logic. A woman will first think emotionally. So after he hugged me, I said, "Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, now it was because of you. I'm doing it for." Yeah, they immediately, I now understood that, man, if this guy goes, I can't be dragging about for my doctor's appointments. So I was grateful for the car. But you see, because he wasn't speaking my language at the time, I didn't feel like he was meeting my need. He was meeting my need. He was screaming, "I love you," but in a different language. So when it comes to meeting needs, you must be speaking the same language. Some of us are also dealing with a lot of trauma. Let me explain. There are certain things we need to unlearn in our marriage. Now, growing up, for instance, I'll give you an example of myself. Growing up, we had things like, I don't know about the rest of you here, but we had things like the way to a man's heart is through his belly. We had things like that. And we were trained, at least in my family, we're trained to, when you want to serve your husband, you must cook for him. We don't want to cook his meals. And there's a place for all of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I got married, I thought that if I was doing everything my mother said to do, which was to prepare his meals, serve him, pick out his clothes, do those kind of things, that I was meeting his need. Now, it was getting a bit frustrating for me because I was literally working myself to the bone, and I didn't feel like my husband was appreciating it. And one day he said to me, "If you die, I'm going to be very upset with you."
Yes, I'll kill you.
Yes. He said, I was trying to be gentle. That's why I didn't say it like that. "If you die, I will kill you." Because I know what I went through to find you. I said, "You're just working yourself to the bone. And I don't care about these things. Anybody can cook my food. What I need you for is the companionship. I need your brain. I need to be able to talk to you and say, I have this dream, and you break it down with your gift of administration. Not that you are cooking rice. Anyone can make rice." And there I was stressing myself, killing myself, making sure nobody else makes his meals, making sure nobody else does anything for him. When what he really needed was somebody to discuss ministry with. To sit down and say, "We need to do this, do this, do this." And I'll say, "Oh, that's easy. Just break it down. I'll just do a few meetings. I'll employ this person. I'll fix this person, create this team." And that is not stressful for me because it's a gift. But I was doing the things, cooking, wake up early in the morning, 4 a.m., cook, do this. And it wasn't making any difference. So it's important that you are meeting each other's needs. But what's more important, that you know what the needs are. And so I'm going to give you 1 minute to talk to each other and find out, am I meeting your needs? And are they the needs that I think they are?
And you can also tell them the 3 top needs you have.
Yes.
So that just in case they've forgotten, they will have a fresh note now. And let me just tell you for free, a lot of times your spouse's needs will not make sense to you. That's why some of us are not meeting the needs, because we don't just think this can't be what you really need. But it's not up to you to determine what your partner needs. Whatever they say is important to them, try to meet that need. So please, let's do that. Talk to your partner. Say, what is a major need for you? Am I meeting all your needs? Is there a need I'm not showing up for? Please have that conversation. It's a practical session.
"27 seconds more." Feels like we're doing an exam. 5 seconds more.
All right. Okay, so I believe you're writing these things down. That way you can work on it together later. You can also review your notes. So number 1, we said, is intentional. Number 2, needs, meeting each other's needs. People generally fall in love with people that meet their needs. Very important. We all develop a soft spot for someone that is meeting our needs. So please, it's important you are meeting the core needs of your partner. It's important you are the person meeting that needs. Most affairs start because somebody gives room for another person to meet a need. Number 3, in intimate, the T there is trust. It's trust. We cannot be intimate if there is no trust. And trust is such a delicate currency. Such a delicate currency. Somebody said we gain trust in drops, but we lose it in gallons. We gain trust in drops, but we lose it in gallons. Without trust, there cannot be real intimacy. If I always have to hide or panic in relating with my spouse, then there is a challenge. If your partner goes out and one person is having panic attacks because they don't know where they are, that is a serious issue. If somebody picks up the other person's phone and there is panic attacks, that is an issue. You need to build trust for there to be intimacy. Without trust, both of you will constantly be checking on each other from a suspicious point of view. The Bible said they were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. So you must consciously build transparency, openness. For men especially, vulnerability doesn't necessarily come to us naturally. So we need to learn how to be open. If you know how a woman's mind works, you understand the power of transparency. A woman's mind is so active. In fact, most women, they can't even control their own mind. Men don't know. Because men always think, why is she being unreasonable? Women are natural overthinkers. That word overthinkers is women that started it. Because their mind is so active. Many men don't know that sometimes women even wake up tired. While they were sleeping, their mind was walking about, checking everything. A woman's mind is that active. So if you don't give her clarity, her mind will start creating scenarios by itself. That's how it works. So as a man, you must be deliberate. So when I see a man say, I'm passwording my phone, you are creating crisis by yourself. It's important that you create transparency. It helps her mind. If you don't give her clarity, her mind will create the scenario for herself. And most times, you'll be amazed where the mind will create, how far it will go. You're just missing for 2 hours. She'll believe you have gone to another country to marry another person. Her mind is that active. So when they say transparency and trust, it's not just because or for the sake of it, it brings peace to the scenario. You can't password your phone. Why won't your partner have access to your phone? What is there to hide? And people have turned it to a cultural belief that, no, leave a man's phone alone if you want peace. No, that's wrong. There should be nothing to hide. He said they were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. So my wife has forever had my passwords, had my Instagram handles, and my Instagram open on her phone. It gives that accountability, that credibility builds trust. We are growing in a time now where people are talking a lot about prenup, about hiding their money, about things like that. The real issue is that please marry who you trust. I try to tell young people, because people just want to marry anybody. No, trust is a major currency. In fact, those of you in business world and in secular world, you know what trust means. You know what the name of a company means. There are people that loan money just because of a name. Meanwhile, there are other people that have a lot of things, but nobody still wants to give them money. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? So building trust in your home brings the peace required for intimacy. So there must be transparency. There must be, truth. If you have ever broken trust before, then you have to be more deliberate to rebuild it. If you have ever broken trust before, let's assume you're a man, for instance, and you have broken trust before, don't start acting like they are suspecting you. We are suspecting you. Of course we are suspecting you. You've broken trust before. So you have to be intentional about rebuilding it. Don't act like somebody just hounding you or picking you out. No, we're all suspecting you. So what you need to do... Yeah, because sometimes I see men act like they don't know they've gone astray before. So why are you checking on me? We are checking on the last time. We didn't check on you. You know what happened. So if you're a guy in that situation, you yourself, don't wait for them to call you to check on you. You call them to check on you. You will do the call and do video call. Don't wait for them to... women are easy. When I see men say women are complicated, I don't understand. You just have to understand women. Like I told you, they overthink naturally. So you yourself, you have not seen her for 1 hour, call. Do video call. I say, hey, how are you doing? And with Pastor Emmanuel, and so they say, Pastor Emmanuel, greet. My wife, hey, we're just watching match. Arsenal is winning. This is the scoreline. I'll come home now soon. Greet Toyosi. Greet that by yourself. Report where you are and what you are doing. You are helping her answer the questions she can't ask you. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? Give an account of yourself. And you see, women are so amazing. Once she trusts you totally. So you build it. It doesn't just happen. Especially if you have committed offense before. Be deliberate. All right? Be deliberate. Also offer accountability. That's how you build trust. Maybe tomorrow if I have time, we'll go into that. People have always assumed that when the Bible says the man is the head, it means he's a headless head. It means it's a head that has no accountability. That's never what the scripture will say. Being the head is not just about authority, it's more about responsibility. But even the authority aspect of it, there's a guy in the Bible that Jesus met, and he told Jesus, I'm a man under authority. He said, you can speak and people will move. He said, I'm a man under, he didn't say I'm a man of authority. Authority is always given. So it only functions when the person himself is under authority. So don't act like you are not accountable. Nobody can ask you where you're going. Nobody can ask you what you're doing. Then you are not giving a good example of that authority. You too, you are under authority. So women will feel more comfortable with a man that is under authority. Be submitted first to God. Secondly, be submitted to authority. Is there anybody your wife can call if you are acting out of order? Give a woman that level of comfort that I'm a man under authority also. When I first started dating my wife, before we got married, one of the first things I did was take her to my mentors and my pastor. Reverend Femi Oduwole, I'm sure he has been here a lot of times. Reverend Sam Adeyemi and co. Those are the first people I took her to and said, these are my mentors. I said, anytime my head is touching or you can't get across to me or I'm misbehaving, these are people you can call that I respect. Things like that give a woman trust. Not that you're saying, I don't talk to anybody, I don't report to anybody. You see, you are breeding rebellion. The problem of breeding rebellion is that the people you are training will also rebel against you. But when you breed submission, then it's easier for everybody to submit to authority. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? So things like your finances, there must be trust. I don't know why a couple will be married and not even run their finances together. I don't even understand. That defeats the whole purpose. of marriage. That defeats. It's like two people still just live. All you are sharing is a house. And it's so amazing. Our value system has problem. I was telling Reverend K, I think it was during the life, that me and Pastor Mildred are putting together a financial course for couples, Christian couples. We believe every Christian couple can be rich. If they follow God's guidelines. And one of the things we're establishing in that place is that working together financially. When I see couples say we do 50%, this one, 70%, you are defeating the purpose. You are 100% for both of you. You are one person. That's the structure. So don't marry who you don't trust. Our value system has problem. I'm saying, I'll keep my money aside, but you are giving the person your life. So I have to put my money in a safe. I'm hiding my money, but you are giving the person that can easily kill you is your spouse. You people are eating together every day. They are serving you teas. They can poison you. You are even sleeping in the night. So you don't trust them with your money, but you trust them with your life. There's something wrong with how you value things. And I've watched I watch American crime channels a lot. A lot. Not the acted ones or the real story ones where somebody actually died. I watch it a lot. I've watched that thing so much that right now I think I'm LAPD. I mean, I feel like a policeman. I'm a detective right now. They don't just know, but I'm a full detective. I can investigate a crime now. Because I've watched it so much, I know all the steps to catching the person. Every time a married person dies, you see the police people, they'll come. The wife or husband is crying. Oh, my wife. They say, oh, sorry, madam, we're so sorry about what happened to you and all that. It's in the crime scene, you're in the house there. The person just died next door. Oh, sorry, where were you by 3 p.m.? You know why? Because you're the number one suspect. All that crime is not moving them. As they are petting you, they're like, can you follow us to the office too? To make a statement. Why? Because your partner is the person that can kill you cheaply without anybody knowing. And a lot of times in those cases, the spouses are involved. What am I saying? You don't trust the person with your money, but you trust them with your life. Then your value system has problem. To even show furthermore how warped our value system has become, you trust this person with your children, but you don't trust them. Your money, you went to hide it, but you gave them your children. Say, take my 3 kids. Which one is of more value? What am I saying? It's important to build trust. If you have broken trust, either financially, maritally, or anyway, build it consciously, because we can't be intimate if we don't trust each other. I must be able to sleep at night and be confident with what you are doing. I must be able to fall on you and know you will catch me. Build trust. You can't be intimate without trust. And listen, guys, in 5, give her the mic. Especially for those people that, there are two kinds of people. There are some people that see the color gray. Then there are some people that everything must be either black or white. It's not that they are evil. They are just incapable of appreciating gray. So once the story...
Wait, sorry.
Doesn't
which one is the good one?
Which one? No, none is good, none is bad. It's just how people's mind work. When you are married to those people that are either white or black, you can't be peddling gray. Where were you by 4 p.m.? You can't say you're going this way and then they see you another place and you can't give explanation easily. Once you create those things, that person's mind will keep running. You are literally torturing that person because their mind can't function without clarity. So what am I saying? To build trust, we must be transparent and there must be truth. Truth over time.
Fantastic. I was enjoying it. I even forgot that sounds so Okay, so recap. I is what? N is, T is trust. And so the next one is I again. And that I is interest. Interest. So what do you both enjoy? If you're going to build intimacy, you guys have to find things that you do together and that you enjoy doing together. So it's not just enough to do things together, but you must find things that you enjoy doing together. And they must be sustained. I'm laughing because the example I'm about to give you, Pastor K has accused me many times that when the children came, I changed. But when I first met him, because, well, his personality, he's very extroverted, very. And I'm quite the opposite. So, like we said, I had to be intentional about, our intimacy, which meant that I had to make some adjustments for him as well. The things I like are very easy. So there are things that I don't think that he has to do much adjusting, staying at home in bed. It's not really, it's not really stressful. Watching a movie is not really stressful. My husband likes things like bungee jumping, power bike riding, skydiving, things that you must question whether you live or die. So, so I remember when we first got married, he wanted to do all those things, right? And I had to, because I understand that most men, well, I think all men really, want the kind of love that involves friendship. They want you to be their buddy, They want someone they can gist with. They can, talk about football scores with and things like that. That was the easy part. Football, tennis, that was easy. Learning all that was easy. Now, the hard part was the dangerous stuff. So I remember we went to Dubai, and Pastor K wanted to do the fastest roller coaster in the world. And because I'm such a sweet person, I decided, okay, let's do it. It's what you want to do. So we got there. And there's this other guy who is his friend as well, who likes to brag about speed. He likes speed. He drives a lot, likes fast cars. So they talk about fast cars. I don't really like speed. Talk about fast cars together and everything. So we went on this fastest roller coaster. Pascal wanted to sit in the first row. I said, no. Let's sit in the second row so that we'll not be the first to die. So this guy was like, what's there? What's the speed? And so he was with his fiancée at the time. Were they married? Anyway, he was with his wife, I think. And she came from the UK, so she had this British, almost Cockney accent. Every time she's talking, I say, okay. So we got into this roller coaster, and then they were in front, we were in the second seat. And put on our seat belts, and it started moving. It just started with a very slow chug. Ch, ch, ch. All of a sudden, it stopped. So when it started, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. All of a sudden, it stopped. Then I heard, oh God, the next thing I knew, my head went back, my face was almost peeling off. And I remember, all I could remember was because it's a roller coaster, right? So it will go down, it will turn, it will go upside down. I just kept saying to myself, what is marriage really necessary? Why am I here? Is this how I met my end? I was saying all kinds, honestly. But the guy in front of me, remember, UAE is a Muslim nation, right? The guy in front of me, who had been boasting about, next thing I heard was, Jesus Christ, you are the God of speed. In my head, I was just thinking, so if this thing doesn't kill us, somebody's probably going to throw a bomb from behind. But we came down from that thing, and my husband was very excited. I was really just questioning everything. He's married by force. Won't I make heaven without married? I was thinking, and he kept on holding on to me and kissing me randomly. He was so excited. Now, what that meant was that I had created a precedent for other things. But I found out that I gave him joy, and that's my point. There may be a few sacrifices, even though I think he's getting cured now. So then I went on the bike ride on Hafith Mountains. There's these mountains in is it Abu Dhabi? No, it's near Oman. I can't remember. So the mountains are so thin that only one car or one vehicle can pass at the same time. And then if you bend too much, you can literally tip over on. I don't know, see, it's marriage. What I'm trying to bring out is that sometimes the thing that gives your partner joy may not be convenient for you. And you need to, I said I do, so I got to the point where I had to do. But my point is this. There are things that both of you may not enjoy at the same pace, but you will have to make adjustments for that person. The point is you must find things. So not always dangerous things. Sometimes date nights, movies, go shopping together, spend a weekend away together, do things that you both enjoy. The point is just simply making sure that you don't lose what got you started in the first place. We have a friend who always describes it like this, that there are certain stages in marriage, right? And if you do not keep building on your interests together, you can move from being soulmates to being roommates to being roommates to being cellmates That means you'll be locked up in an, in a marital prison. So you're moving from being soulmates to being roommates. So you move from being, everything, we get each other.
Yeah.
We enjoy each other, to just doing things together, paying school fees, picking up the children for whatever extracurricular activities they have, or just doing your duty, to now moving from that point, especially when the kids leave home, to just be roommates, because we bought this house together. There's no point moving out. So we're going to be here and just be here until we figure out what to do with each other, to now finally being cellmates, because the marriage is now no longer bearable. What keeps you guys as soulmates is doing things that you find interesting together. So now I'm going to give you 1 minute to talk to each other about the things you both enjoy doing that you stopped doing, or that you should do more of. So
and what is an interest you have that you like your partner to join you more? So they've not been joining you. Maybe you've been watching the movies alone. You've been watching the series alone.
Yeah.
You would like them to watch with you. Just let them know what are some of the interests. Maybe you like to travel, they don't like to travel. Maybe you like to read, they don't like to read. What are some of the interests you would like them to join you with or join you on? What are some of those interests? Say, hey, I like when you used to. I like when you used to. We used to do a lot of this. We used to do a lot of this. My wife doesn't go biking with me again. No. After she had all her children, she has abandoned me now.
2 of us cannot die now. We have children to raise. No, but I don't do that. That's not fair. I still do some dangerous things with you.
Yeah, sometimes.
But you're not saying that publicly.
As you're discussing, please also write, because you can refer to it later.
Yeah, and they can be
So
conversation starters for later.
Yes. What are some of the interests you used to join me with? And the issue is that, like I said, some of you need to go through, it will almost be like a drag sometimes, doing what the other person likes, because usually opposites attract. So what that person would like, you would not be interested at all. For instance, I know most men do not like to go for shopping. And if your wife likes to go for shopping, you have to, suffer through it. But if it makes her happy, then you go with her. All right? So that's what we're trying to say. Sometimes it's not going to be fun things. Be a good sport. My wife hates speed, absolutely hates speed. Hates speed. Me, I love speed. I love driving. So, those days, but she deceived me. Those days, she was following me everywhere. Now that she has all her children, she 2 of us can't die together. Go alone.
No, the truth is, I know you're not going to die, so I'm praying. I have to be at home to pray.
You pray, right?
Yes.
So, but the point is that interest usually you won't find it interesting. What your partner will enjoy, you will totally not enjoy. But you see, we talked about intentionality at the beginning. So you have to be intentional. My wife loves Christmas movies. Christmas movies. You know Christmas movies? It's one storyline. All of them use. One storyline. And there must be snow. One person must be stuck somewhere. They have an appointment they couldn't go for. Their family is not around. Something funny. He has a wife before, or a fiancé he wants to marry. He didn't now marry that one. He now met that girl in a bookstore or in a supermarket. Same story.
Pastor, okay, in my defense, right? My mind is constantly working. I'm working. I'm fixing one thing, running one business, doing one ministry. So I need things that I don't, like mindless movies. So I can walk out of the room and come back and continue the story. I don't even care. They could have done it 3 hours and I would still understand what they are doing, because it's the same thing. I can't even tell where they are going. Somebody will fall in love with someone, and nobody dies.
If I put a movie on, I give them only 5 minutes. If there's no shooting, no punching, nobody's fighting, they are go to the next movie. They are not serious in this movie. Nobody shoot anybody in 5 minutes.
Let me also say this. Let me also say this, please. If you are married to a woman who likes those kind of movies or chick flicks, try not to fall asleep when she's watching. Try. Yes, try. I didn't say no, but try. Or at least pretend it's like you're very guilty of this. Yeah, but just try.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I said try.
Yes. It will take intentionality. That's the point. It's not going to come naturally. Remember, good couples are compatible by chance. Great couples are compatible by choice.
Okay.
So that's the real issue. Many people just drift apart because they're just doing nothing.
Yeah.
If you do nothing, what will happen is that you will drift apart.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional. Watch those movies. It might look boring to you. And you know the interesting thing, that once you continue being there, after a while, you will start finding meaning in that thing. You will start to enjoy it. But it takes going through the period where it's boring or where it's tiring. Then you will start to enjoy it.
I don't know about finding meaning in dangerous things. Yeah?
Yes.
It makes you happy, so I'm happy.
Yes. All right. So next one is M, is manage your emotions. Manage your emotions. You can't build intimacy if you can't manage your emotions. I've found out that most troubles or quarrels people have is not with their partner, it's with their feelings. All right? Most of the trouble or quarrel you have is not actually with your partner, is with your feelings. How are you processing your feelings? I don't measure how strong a couple is by when everything is peaceful. I measure it by when they are frustrated. How do you deal with the anger, the frustration, disappointment? That is the real measure of how strong your marriage is. When you are disappointed, when you are frustrated, when things did not go your way, how are you reacting? That is how we know whether that marriage is strong or not. Not when there's peace. Everybody's happy when there's peace. Everybody's happy when everything is going as planned. We are talking about when things don't go as planned, when you are disappointed, when you are frustrated. How are you managing your emotions? Most quarrels in homes are not between the spouses. They're just between one person and their emotion. So if you are going to build intimacy, you must learn to manage your emotion. You must learn to manage how you feel and how you react to the situation. When your partner disappoints you or doesn't come up or doesn't show up, how do you even bring it to his notice? Some people at that time, they want to wash the person down. Let me give you something as a general rule. Whenever somebody is behaving out of character, don't react the first way that comes to you. Your first instinct is to give fire for fire. That's your first instinct. And fire for fire will burn the house down. Your first instinct, like the Bible says in 1 Peter, is to do railing for railing, shouting for shouting. That's your first instinct, and that is wrong. Managing your emotions the crucial way. Like I told you, the quarrel in the house is not between you and your partner. It's between you and your emotions. That time you are frustrated, how do you even go approach bringing it up? Many people, the way you bring it up, there's no way peace will reign. It will lead to war because of how you bring it up. Master the art of putting your emotions under. Don't react emotionally. There are a few tips to managing your emotions. I can't go into all. I'll mention a few tips. Number one, always practice the pause. Just pause. Don't respond immediately. If you respond immediately, 90% of the time you will respond wrongly. Every time you want to respond immediately, depending on something, you want to just shout at them, you want to wash them down, you want to insult them back, you want to, rebuke them. Just pause. Women in particular, I try to coach women in communicating with men because women are the ones that complain that my husband is not talking or not communicating. Women love communication. But most times they don't know how to communicate with a man. I have a YouTube video why your man is not talking to you. I coach women in that video that men hate talking to women because women first feel. They process from feeling. And men process from logic. So they don't know what you're talking about. Why are you feeling? They just do this thing. They just want to solve problems and move on. So I tell them, look, the man you're dealing with is not great at communication like you. So you must know how to react to him. For instance, if your husband tells you anything, your first reaction is to be calm. Most times a man is scared to tell you because he thinks you will not be able to handle it. And you too, you prove him right. The moment he tells you, say, hey, you just shout, you say, you see. So I tell women, if your husband even tells you, I killed 3 people yesterday, just say, okay. Who else knows? Hope nobody saw you. Be calm. Be calm. Then ask him, where did you bury them? If you are that calm, he will take you to where you buried them. When you get there, you find out it's 5 people he killed. Not 3. Most times the man is managing you. He's afraid of what you do. So he will tell you small and see what you will do. Most times you prove him right that there's no way he can communicate with you. So be calm. All right? Now, I tell women, the more important the discussion, the less emotional you need to be. The more important the topic you want to talk to a man about, that's the less emotional you need to be. Most times women bring their whole emotional capacity to talk to a man. He is blocking, a man can't handle the emotions. That your capacity for emotion is not, his own is very small. Very, very small. So he can't cope with what you're about to bring. He can't handle it. That's why they did experiment with men and women having heated arguments. They put machines on their body. They found out that the man's heart rate and blood pressure, everything during the heated argument is very high, 99. He literally wants to explode. That's why when there's a serious argument between a man usually wants to leave the place. He can't cope. He's about to explode. A woman's own. They checked it. When the serious argument, it was the same before, during, and after. So whenever there's a heated argument, when the man says, I want to go, what does the woman say? You're not going anywhere. Because she's having fun. She's enjoying this. So we are not fighting. We are just talking. The man can't cope. He can't handle it. He wants to run. The man's solution to heated argument is escape, flight. Because the only other option, if he doesn't take flight, is to fight. And he's a lethal weapon. He's a lethal weapon. A man his fight for him is a do or die issue. Oh, I love when women fight. Women fight is not final. Women can fight here, argue, and for them, they just express themselves. If a man wants to fight, he believes it's a do or die. It's a final, we're going to finalize the issue. So he usually wants to run. He can't cope with the stress. That's why my mentor, one of the guys that coached me in relationship coaching, is one biggest mentor, well respected, has many bestsellers. They've been bestsellers for many years. He's well respected. Most of you know him. Even Harvard respects his materials and everything. Most of you know him. He's a professor emeritus. Professor emeritus. Very respected person. Professor Solomon David in the Bible. You don't know? You don't know him? He's a professor now. He has done research that even Harvard has not done. In research having 1,000 women in his life at the same time. Harvard has not done that. And he still died of natural causes. As in, they didn't kill him. And he had those women without digital age. He was dating them, marrying them manually. 700 wives. How do you remember their name? So, Solomon, after having 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 women, he said, if you marry a contentious woman, a man will go and live in the corner of the roof. Why is that happening? He can't cope. See, if you marry a contentious woman, you go and live in the wilderness. Because a man's brain can't handle. See, our brain is one track. Women need to understand this. Our brain is one. So you can't scatter it. Your own brain is like operating like a machine. It has many portals open at the same time. It's like a smartphone. Many portals are open. So if I argue with a woman, at the end of the day, you don't even know which one we're arguing about. Which one was it? Because she's going here, she's going here, she's going to the past, going to the future. The man can't cope. He will just go to the wilderness, and go and sit down and sleep. So when you're talking to him, the less emotional you are, the better. Because if you are intense emotionally, he will block off both the emotion and the information. Because he has to block everything. What you need him to get is information. So try to pause. All right? Process your emotions first before you have that conversation. Have it at the least emotional time. Maybe when you're even doing something, just mention it that, hey, I wish you came home earlier yesterday, but it's okay. It's fine. Let's watch the match. Who's winning? Just like that. It will sync better with a man than trying to engage him in a heated argument. He will blank that whole scenario, both the emotion and the information. So practice the pause. Very important. Always pause. Check even whenever you've replied to somebody's message or replied to somebody. If you reply immediately, later you begin to feel, I could have coined this thing better. It always occurs, I could have said it differently because you reacted and responded too quickly. You will never go wrong by pausing. Always pause. You don't have to answer today. You don't have to give a response right now. All right? Pause helps you. Another thing that helps you to manage your emotions is perspective. Always understanding people's perspective will help you answer them better. Don't try to answer them without perspective. A lot of times your first reaction will be wrong. I always share the popular story. I'm a football person, like most of you know. So we traveled to UAE for something, and it was time for football, Champions League. So I went to watch a match in a viewing center. So UAE is like I don't know how to describe their timing, but basically the match ended around 1 a.m., their time. So after the match, I took a taxi back to my hotel. I like sitting in front, so I sat in front of the taxi with the taxi driver, and the guy was chewing gum. This was the most irritating gum chewing you have ever seen in your life. It was loud. And he was shaking his head while he was chewing it. Very disgusting, very irritating. I was so angry. And I kept saying he will stop, he will soon stop, he will soon stop. And the guy continued. It got to say I couldn't take it anymore. I just blasted the guy. Now, which kind of customer service is this? I began my coaching. My motivational speaker came out. I said, which kind of behavior is this? When you have your clients in the car, there's a way to behave. When you are carrying people, I began to coach the guy and correct the guy and shout at the guy, how can you be chewing gum this loudly? The guy interrupted me at some point. He said it's usually in night shift like this because he works overnight, then 7 a.m. he sleeps all day and continues midnight again the next day. But that on this particular day, he did not sleep. So as he's driving me now, he's feeling sleepy. That's why he's chewing the gum. I say, be chewing loudly. Loud! I want to hear you chew. Be chewing the gum. The moment I discovered that gum was what saving our life, I said, chew loudly. If you have, give me, I'll chew with you. We'll chew together till we make it home. We will make it home tonight. I don't want to die today. You see, the moment I got perspective, if you understand why your husband or wife is acting the way they're doing, you'll be more tolerant. A lot of things you think you can take if you understand why. You become more compassionate. He has never had a dad. Maybe his dad had 18 wives. He doesn't know what it's like to be committed to one person. It's part of what you inherited. In marriage, it's for better, for worse. We really don't have deal breakers inside marriage. Inside marriage is till death do us part. Except your life is under threat. That's what they mean. Aside from that, that's what you signed in for. You inherited all assets and liabilities. You know, that's the hard part of marriage people don't want to hear. People want to do trial and error. If it's not working, I come out. That's not really the design. The design is that we'll stay here and we'll work it out. So if you understand why he or she is acting the way they do, you'll be more compassionate and tolerant. So pause, then perspective. There are many other things that help you manage your emotions, but I will just stop with those two. The baseline is, for us to be intimate, I can't give you fire for fire. When you upset me, I can't wash you down. I can't talk you down. Even if I'm going to bring something to your attention, I need to wait till I'm calm to tell you nicely that, hey, you know, I would have liked this. A soft answer always turns away wrath. Always. But the mistake we make most times that when somebody upsets us, we also give them fire for fire. And it never brings peace. Always causes problem.
Okay, so I'm sure we don't need to talk about this managing emotions again. Pastor K has done a great job. So let's just recap. I is what? N is what? T. I. M. Manage your emotions. So the next step for intimacy is what we call advancement. Because of time, I'm going to really try to be brief so we can stick to time because we'd like to take a few questions after. So what we're talking about is that two of you must be advancing together. That's one of the things that builds intimacy, when you are both making progress together. The Bible says that two are better than one, for they have a good reward for their labor. Two of you coming together must be making you better. Two of you coming together must bring reward. It says when one is down, the other can pull him up. That's what marriage is supposed to be. It's supposed to be we'll bring our synergy together. And then two of us will be able to work together to achieve what we are both called to achieve. Sometimes I know that it may require your being persistent in helping your partner. Because sometimes men especially are guilty of this. They don't hear from here. This is decoration. So you find yourself saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. And the reason is because men are not externally motivated because of what they are called to do. They're called to be visionaries. So if they're externally motivated, it's dangerous because that means anyone can easily make them change their minds about things. So men are more internally motivated. However, if you are insistent enough in showing them that what I'm trying to get you to do is for your own good, sometimes, I didn't say all the time, sometimes they catch on. So I'll give you an example. Pascal, when it comes to gadgets and technology, he's quite slow to catch up. And I'm sure that a lot of people find that hard to believe because of how big he's on Instagram, social media, and all of that. But remember, first of all, he was so fixated on his phone, I forced him to get a BlackBerry phone. And then when everyone was moving out of BlackBerry into normal other Android phones, he was the last man standing.
Yes,
he kept
I was
saying
faithful
it,
to the last.
I will be the last. I said, they're not giving an award for the last person. Let's move on so you can do things that other people can do. Then Facebook came. And I was like, honey, Facebook is where everyone is. You like people. You'll be able to connect with people all over the world. It was like, no, what are we going to do there? Just put our pictures? No, I'm not interested. Eventually, he got on Facebook. Then everyone moved. Well, most people moved to Instagram. And then Pastor K, let's go to Instagram. Pastor K said, never! I will never move to Instagram. I think, it's even boring. We just put our pictures. Then I think we couldn't do videos at the time when we first started, yes. So we just put our pictures. I don't like myself that much. I don't put a picture of myself. What am I doing? He went on and on. So what I did, I opened up an Instagram page for him. Tried to post a few pictures, tried to do a few things, tried to get him to come on. He refused. After about a year and a half, must have
Almost
been a
2
year
years.
and a half. So something happened. I put up, men are competitive by nature. It's the thing given to them to succeed, right? If a man doesn't have that
drive, yes.
that drive, he will be okay. See, your mates are doing well. And it's like, okay, bless God for them. That's okay. He doesn't want to move. But if he sees, someone doing well, he's, inspired to do well as well. So I remember that I put up a post of my son, David. And then, for some reason, people just love children, pictures of cute babies on social media. So everybody liked the post. And so he was just scrolling, and I was like, I don't understand, this post is really moving. And he said, how many likes? And I said, I just put it up, and it has 1,000 likes. That was back then. And I was like, maybe 2016 or something. And he said, you put a post of David, and he has 1,000. That means, and so he calculated it as human being. He said, 1,000 people. That's a whole service. Let's imagine. He said, so first service, let's assume everybody liked. He said, that means you can reach 1,000 people. The next day, my husband said, come and show me how to do this thing. So he got really popular on Instagram, and he started making a lot of, started doing a lot on Instagram. And then I said to him, I think you should go on YouTube. Because I think that you reach a larger crowd. And we had been on TV at that time for about 10 years. And we were paying to be on TV. And everyone was watching on their phone. They were no longer watching. So I was like, let's go to YouTube. My husband said, no, I'm tired of all these movements. If you start, this thing's a trap. We keep moving. But I was insistent. Now, my point is this. If your partner is doing well, whether male or female, your partner is doing well, they feel good about themselves. And they feel good about themselves, they'll treat you well. People are just happy. So hurting people hurt people. Happy people make other people happy. We just have to think of the flip side. So I knew that there were things he wanted to achieve, and these were vehicles for him to achieve it, but he just wasn't seeing it. So I had to be persistent in pushing him in a polite way, because I can't lead him, he's still the head. I can't force him to do what he doesn't want to do. But I had to be a bit insistent, So I told him, I think I talked to him about YouTube for 2 whole years. Every time we'd be in a staff meeting, and they say, oh, we need to reach this, we need to do that. I'm like, let's just go on YouTube. Pascal said, no, let's have that YouTube conversation later. Then I got everybody on the team to be on my side. And we started pushing, and then eventually I said, okay, let's do this. I'm not even saying let's leave STV that you're on. Let's just try YouTube for 2 months. If you don't like it, then forget about it. Then we did YouTube, and it seemed like the whole world was all of a sudden there, and then they paid him. Mother said, wait, explain this to me again. And then he said, that STV, go and cancel that. And somehow, just being on social media and being insistent, and I kept saying to him, let's push only one thing. The one thing that you have been assigned to, which is relationship. You teach a lot of things. Let's not do fine. Let's not do all those things. At first, he didn't agree. He tried to do a feature. I tried to do this. I'm like, let's just stick to what. And somehow, that just changed everything for our ministry. So today, all those things is because I was insistent in pushing. When one is down, another person can pull up. And it's the same thing on the other side. He's my biggest cheerleader and coach, because sometimes I'm very tough. So biggest coach and cheerleader. So the point is, both of you must be making progress together. Don't feel insecure if your partner is doing well and you're not doing as well as you think you ought to. Just have conversations about, okay, so what are you doing? Because sometimes I find that the person may be doing well. In fact, we have a couple, and the guy runs a business. But I know his wife is the real, so he's a people person. He's very bad with the books, very bad with delivery. He can market, he can sell anything to you. But when it's time to deliver on that thing, he just doesn't have the strength. But his wife is amazing. She's bringing millions of dollars into the organization she works for, which is a global, industry, and she's well known. But you are at home and saying she's just my wife. I'm like, take advantage of what God has blessed you with. She's your wife, she can help you. Until he finally listened just a couple of years ago, and things have turned around in his business. So sometimes God has already put, not sometimes, I believe all the time, that God has put what you need in your marriage. But a lot of times we just don't see them for who they really are. When Jesus met that woman at the well, he said to her, if you knew who was talking to you and the gift of God. She had no idea who was talking to her at the time. All of us are craving to see Jesus now. She had the opportunity to give him water. Sometimes the person that has been handed to you is all you need for your advancement. If you would just listen and work with them, your marriage will be happy and you build intimacy.
So the key in advancement is that you should be interested in the advancement of your partner. That's what we're really saying. So whenever you see your partner, you constantly be checking, how can I help this person become what they are meant to be? I see a lot of couples that are not interested in each other's lives. The man is struggling with his business. The woman is struggling with her career. They are not helping each other. Two are better than one. So there's no way I will be here today if not for the input of my wife. So I don't know how people get married and don't allow their partners play a role in their lives. All right? Your husband, the same thing with you, your career. Oh, what courses do you need to do? I can help you read out the courses. I can help you study. You constantly, people love it when you are interested in their advancement and well-being. It just makes both of you, your hearts grow fonder. That's what we're saying. Like he said, we know many couples that they would have been better if they were both interested in each other. But the woman is doing her own thing on this side. The man is doing his own thing on this side. They are not pouring into each other. Trust me, when the Bible says two are better than one, or that it's not good for man to be alone, God knows what he's saying. If another person gives that outside perspective, that outside push, different studies have shown that motivation plays a major role in our lives. Just having an external party. It's easy to advise other people for their own issue. It's not so easy to advise yourself. That's the way God created. That's why we need each other. All right. When you are motivating somebody here, even you have not motivated yourself, but you can motivate another person easily. And that extra push helps that person. So advancement, how can you help your partner be better at what they do? So that's the assignment for that point. How can I help you to be better at what you do? Be bigger, greater, more successful. All right? My wife has been like she said, Instagram has been a major thing that has made us go global. All the tours, we do tours around the world. Most of the people that attend are people that knew us from Instagram. She was going to open the account. I was totally I was reluctant. Same thing with YouTube. On Instagram, we have over 1.1 million followers on Instagram. We have about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. She started all those things. So if she wasn't in my life, I would have just been struggling. I usually say that if I see a man that is struggling, I can tell him at least 3 things he's not doing. And most of it has to do with how he's relating with his wife. Because a woman is just a gift if you know how to harness it. She's just a gift. And the way God created us, there are things she's good at, there are things the man is good at. It's the combination that brings success. But most times you are running on one tire, on one wheel. That's what's happening. You move, but it will never be as fast. So T, we have to rush the last 2 now. Interestingly, T is time. Which, how you are managing your time will affect your intimacy. Most times I tell people that the same thing it takes to have an affair is what it takes to build intimacy in your marriage. You create time. The busiest people in the world, some of them still have extramarital affairs, and they're very busy. The reason is because they are able to create time. All right? We create time for what is important. You can't build intimacy in your marriage without managing the currency called time. You can't be too busy. You can't give each other the remnants of your day all the time. And that's what happens to a lot of couples. By the time they get home, they are both worn out. They've used all their words and their energy and time. So by the time they get home, they are giving each other the remnants. Those monosyllables. How are you? Fine. Till the next day. So manage your time is very crucial. All right.
Okay, and the final one is exclusivity. Exclusivity. It can be intimate when it's shared and common. Okay? So if you're going to be intimate, the Bible says that you live to cleave. And I know that most times we emphasize that to mean that you leave your father and mother to now be one with your partner. But the Bible just says that when you leave, you have to cleave. So there has to be a cleaving, a connecting with only one person. So that's why when you take your vows at the altar, you say forsaking all others. Okay? So it's important. There have to be no affairs, whether physical, emotional, online. A lot of people have online girlfriends. Like, you are the ones you send all the jokes that you see. Your partner is boring, so you send. So anywhere you do all that, your emotions are being tied there. Mm-hmm. So affairs don't have to be just be physical or sexual. They are emotional affairs where you are spending everything your partner does. You have somebody, or those who work wife, husband, work husband. Yes, mm-hmm. People that before you know it, you find that you are more excited to talk to them than you are to talk to your partner. So for there to be intimacy, it has to be exclusive. Your focus has to be your partner. You want to be with them, spend time with them. They're the ones that when things are happening, you also have spiritual intimacy with them. You want to pray with them. If something happens in your life, who is the first person you think of calling? If it's not your partner, then there's a problem there brewing somewhere. So that's intimate.
Yeah. So for exclusivity, it also includes your ex. Exclusivity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I see what you did.
Yeah, but the point is that, like she said, leaving all others.
Yeah.
There are people that have excuse why they are keeping in touch with their exes, especially if your partner is unhappy with it. In fact, I think it's a disrespect to your marriage to be in touch with someone you were emotionally involved with before. It's just disrespectful. I think you need to learn how to be exclusive. Intimacy flourishes in exclusivity. That's how it flourishes, when it's just both of us. There are things we share that nobody in this world has ever shared with us. So that intimacy is built at that point. All right? So let's run through them one more time. Number one is what? I is what? Intentionality.
N-T-I-M-A-T-E. And that spells intimate.
And that spells intimate. Hallelujah. Praise God. All right. So we would come back for the Q&A before we pray for her and close.
I'd like to invite Pastor Kingsley and Pastor Mildred. I'm sorry, I know you just sat down. Let's give a round of applause for them. Please, we'd like to invite them to the couch. All right. So we're voting. Oh, wow, we're up to 19 questions now. Some people are adding questions. Of course, you can keep asking your questions. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. I retain some veto power as well. All right, thank you so much, sir and ma. That was amazing. But this part, a lot of people are looking forward to this, and I am looking forward to this as well. So we're going to start. Some of the questions, I'll categorize them together just to help us move along quickly. We have about 25 minutes. We have about 20 questions so far. So maybe a minute, 1 to 2 minutes per question, depending on what people vote for. All right, so the top question right now that has the most votes. All right, so the one that has the most votes right now, I'll read it to us. It says, how do you forgive your partner that has broken your trust over and over again? And even after forgiving them, how do you not use it against them? Did everybody hear that? Okay. Go ahead, Sir or Ma.
Okay, I think that the real issue here is not just forgiving them, but doing something about it. I would say that you need what we call infidelity recovery. That means both of you need to be with a coach. They work with you through about 8 to 12 sessions. That's what it takes. And it takes anywhere between 6 months and 2 years to be able to work this through. The issue is you've always just said, oh, I forgive you and I let it go. But there's some unpacking that needs to be done. We need to know why this happened, know why it keeps happening. They have to put some accountability measure. We have to deal with you as an individual, some of the things you're going through, and then the person also, what they will be going through guilt and shame, and probably, who knows, maybe it's an addiction that needs to be dealt with. So it's much deeper than just this face value of saying, oh, I've forgiven them and how will I not use it again? Of course, the Spirit of God helps, right? Praying and the Spirit of God helps you, but I think that you need to work with a professional, someone who can help you understand where you are at, why do you feel the need to keep throwing this back in his face. So it's a process. I don't think it's something that you can do on your own.
All right, and you need to redirect your trust. In cases like this where trust is continuously broken, you need some stability in your life, so you need to redirect your trust. Since you know this person always does this, can you trust the Lord? All right? Trust the Lord for that situation. Stop putting your trust on that person for now. All right? Because that's what causes disappointment. You are looking at this person. No. Most likely, if this person is repeating this thing, they are not in quotes. They need help. So it's not somebody you're going to put your trust on. No. At this time, put your trust in God. And really forgive them. Forgiveness doesn't mean it won't hurt. There's no such thing. Forgiveness just means you are releasing the thing to God so that He can compensate you. He can work on it. You are no more holding on to it. So release the person, trust God, and God will start giving you wisdom on how to navigate the thing while you're also seeking help. Because from the question, you need some strength, for this. You can't go this journey by yourself. All right.
Thank you so much, sir. Since we started the Q&A, we went from 20 questions to 29 questions now. So I'm going to batch them together. This one, it's a great question. So this one, I'm going to basically combine 3 questions, okay? All right, so here are the questions. And then just a note before we go on, I know there's a vow renewal thing that we need to display on the screen. So media, you can get that ready so that after this question, and talk about that a little bit, okay? All right, so here are the 3 questions batched together. How do I manage my wife who always complains anytime we want to have sex? How do I manage my need and my wife's hormonal issues? And the person said, I hope you understand, Sha. Okay, so that's that one. And then the question that goes along with that, which we can batch with it, number 2. My husband doesn't understand that sometimes I need peace from him touching my body sexually. Any advice? And then the third one, hopefully I can find it. Okay, so the third one that goes along with that is, how do I make my husband want to be more sexually intimate rather than spend all night with a soccer league video game? Over to you, Ma and sir.
Some have food but cannot eat. Some can eat but have no food. That's what this is. I'll let Pastor get aside. He answers all the sex questions. I'm too holy for that.
No, but you add to it. It's not normal. It's not usual for an adult not to enjoy sex. We're sexual beings by creation. So if you find that, it's just like saying you don't like to eat. All those things are not usual. So if for some reason you are not enjoying sex with your partner, then that is what we need to look at, all right? Why are you not enjoying sex with your partner? Sex is meant to be enjoyed. So from the questions, the first 2 ones, it sounds like you see it as a disturbance. You still see it as a distraction. It's a major part of bonding for a couple, the sex. Major part. And we talked about needs today. For most men, the physical part of intimacy is a need. So you need to understand that. So we need to investigate why you don't like sex. Is it that your husband is not doing it right, or you've had some experiences in the past making you not enjoy sex. But please, let it be clear, it's not usual for a couple not to enjoy sex. That's not the norm. That is abnormal, if I can use that word. It's not the normal thing. You are meant to enjoy sex, especially with your partner. So if you're not enjoying it, we need to investigate why. Okay? So is the process, are you not enjoying the process? Is he not doing it right? Have you guys had the conversation? Rev, because of sexual issues that are not being addressed in church, we had to start a whole ministry called Wholesome Sexuality, where we have a Christian sexologist helping people. Because these issues, we get it from all over the world. And sometimes when people even go and seek help from the worldly, we knew a couple that went to seek help from the worldly, the therapist told them to introduce BDSM. That's flogging and chaining and all that. So they've been flogging themselves now for a while. So, so we have to start Wholesome Sexualities on Instagram. Please, if you need to reach out to them, let them talk to you. There's a reason why you're not enjoying sex, basically. So we need to investigate that. I will let Pastor M will add to that later. Then for the person playing video game, you need to understand that he also needs help. His brain is being excited by something else. It's probably why he's distracted. Sexual pleasure and all that, they're all in the same part of the brain where cocaine and drugs and other things are. So once there's something stimulating that part of the brain, it becomes difficult for that person to find interest in another thing. So he needs to break that addiction. We need to know why. If your libido is too low, we need to know why. There's a reason. It doesn't just happen. So basically, we can't go into all the details because we don't know the details, but I'm just mentioning some random things that you need to look into. Then before I give Pastor M the mic, if you're a woman and you are not so sexual, and your husband wants sex, same thing with you if you are in case you're the man, there are two kinds of sex. My wife talks about it all the time. You will say it now. She talks about dutiful sex and beautiful sex. I'll let her finish it. Oh, yeah.
Okay, before I get into dutiful sex and beautiful sex, I was also going to say that sometimes it's not always that there's a problem with how he's doing it. Sometimes maybe the woman is tired from doing so much in the day. Okay, so maybe if you help out with a few things, she will have energy. She's doing the dishes, she's cooking, she's doing school runs, she's doing a lot of things. And at the end of the day, she's just tired. All she's thinking about is sleep. If you bring yourself, it's an added to her, it's like added work, right? Even if it's enjoyable. There are times when you are too hungry to eat now. You even have the food in your hand like this and you can sleep off. So maybe she's tired, So you need to find out if there are ways you can help. Ladies, am I right? Because people don't want to say it. I said, let me help you. You people are not looking at me. I thought you'd be encouraging me that you got this. Be encouraging me so I can help you talk. So sometimes I think women are just tired. So that's it. I don't think it's, and a woman is not going to tell you I'm tired. So she can come up with a lot of excuses. She can say she's having a headache. But me, I always say it's not a good excuse because we don't really need your head in the equation. You can just stay there and the man can do the rest. So I think it's better to have the conversation with him and let him know that you are tired. You would rather, he help take a few things off, maybe help with the kids, then you can, have sex or whatever. The second person that said something about the gaming and everything. Now, I really wish I had more details because what I'd like to know is, are you waiting for him to come to you? Or he's playing game there and you go there and meet him? But I don't know, there are ways around these things. There are things you will go there and meet him and do that he will not have to answer you, But this, I can see cross everywhere, so I'm respecting myself. Everything I will say. So, I'm just saying that there are things, there are things you can do in sitting position. Then for the issue of beautiful and dutiful, your pastor is my pastor's friend. You go and report me. So there are things I have to say I can't say here. Dutiful and beautiful. Beautiful sex is when both of us are in the mood. It's enjoyable. From the door, we are tearing our clothes. We can't get our hands off each other. And then there's time for foreplay and all of that. There's dutiful sex too. Okay, dutiful. When I was preaching, you didn't tell me to put my mic. Now, when we are discussing things, I should say it loud.
This to hear this.
Then for dutiful sex, which will happen quite a bit in your marriage, if we're being honest, is when one person is really in the mood and the other person is not. But you understand that you are the only authorized dealer of sex for your husband or your wife. And if you do not have sex with them, you leave them either frustrated or with the temptation of trying to solve their problems in some other ways which will not benefit you. So at that time, you just need to be a big girl or a big boy and do what you need to do. Serve the other. That's what marriage is about. It's no longer about just pleasing the Lord. It's about how you can please your partner. And if your partner needs sex and you're not in the mood, sometimes you just need to. And then the thing about dutiful sex is if you do it right, most times it ends up being beautiful sex. So the people that are complaining about, oh, sex is too much, it's too much, I'm also wondering, do you have orgasms? Some women never do. So it's part of the problem. If you're not enjoying something, then you also don't want to do it. So beautiful sex is when we both want it, we both are happy to do it, there's time for foreplay and everything. And dutiful sex is, you're in the mood, okay, let's do a quickie and I'll just be a good sport about it. And then when you come, we'll just move on with our lives and continue. Everybody's happy. You leave me alone, you're satisfied, I get to do other things. So
and if for any reason you need to talk to a therapist regarding, please do, because somebody mentioned hormonal issues or whatever. Sometimes there's a reason. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't get help and you just suffering in silence continuously, so you guys should get help professionally if you need to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There is a question. Let's round of applause. Round of applause, please. Amazing, amazing. Media, you can display the vow renewal thing when you get a chance. You can display it now, and we'll talk about it right after this question, but you can leave it up there. There's a question that we had at the end of the Insta Live session. It was a teaser question, and so I don't want to leave people hanging. The Insta Live session, for those who missed it, was on Thursday evening. So the question was, and you alluded to this a little bit about the whole BDSM and flogging. So the question, and it's come up quite a bit actually, is how far within the confines of a Christian marriage, right? Both people are children of God and all that. How far can people go in terms of different expressions of sex?
Put the mic in your mouth.
Again, I want to reemphasize that sex is a major need for your partner in marriage. So please, do not use sex as a bargaining tool, a punishment tool. That is very wrong. We talked about needs today. Meeting your partner's need. If you come with the mindset of serving, a lot of things in marriage will work. If you come with the mindset of giving. So sex is a major need in marriage. So if your partner wants more, find a way to offer them more. And even if you need to turn them down, all right, like my wife always says, if you turn them down today, you must be the one to initiate tomorrow or when you are better in the mood, which can be longer than 24 hours or so. That's what she says it. So please don't just leave it hanging. So many times we're the ones tempting the devil, not the devil tempting us. All right? So you need to understand, it's a sense of duty. That's what the Bible says. Offer to your spouse due benevolence. So I have to emphasize that because I see too many couples going without sex because one person is not showing up. It's a duty. It's part of your duty. If you're eating in that house, then you should be having sex. For many people, sex is a more priority than food. But I see some people so focused on what are we going to eat. The guy can buy food, he can order burger. That is not his concern. The one he's bothered about is the one that only you can give. That's what he's bothered about. Thank you. Thank you, because people get busy with a lot of other things. I'm trying to cook. No, leave that food on. We can get it from somewhere else. The important thing is the sex. And sometimes it's the woman too that wants sex and the man is not showing up. Please. It's a point of service. You won't always be in the mood. Don't follow how you feel. Now, in terms of limitations, God intentionally left those things out, not because he forgot. It's because he wants you to explore in your marriage. He doesn't want to put too much limitations. However, there are certain boundaries, of course. Bringing a third party into your bed is no more exclusive, like we mentioned exclusivity. Live to cleave. So you can't bring a third party in terms of a human being or even an object. We don't support that. Now, there are people that have reasons why they think. I've seen even somebody that's supposed to be a Christian saying, oh, they use toys, and sometimes when her husband is not around, she still uses the toys, that he's aware, he doesn't mind. So that's the problem. When you start using third parties, it can replace the need. That's no more intimacy. Because the way God created sex, even if you want to be angry with your partner and you need it, you will make up. But the moment something can replace your partner, if you are not talking, say, we are not talking, that's your business, you go for somewhere and go and relieve yourself with your toy. So we don't, support that. Anything that brings third party into your union, we don't agree with it. That's no more intimacy. Secondly, anything that brings shame or guilt. Like in the situation where I talked about the Christian couple that they told to start flogging each other, they flogged themselves for 1 or 2 weeks. But after a while, one of them said, it's not just making sense. Maybe the guy can flog too much. The woman ran, or one of them is tired of it. So if it's bringing shame or guilt, it's a problem. Now, there are things like oral sex, for instance. Some people in their mind feel it's dirty, some feel it's okay. So this is what I would say. Be willing to serve. If your partner wants oral sex, for instance, and you don't want, why don't you want? That's what we need to get to. A lot of times it's mental barriers. Either you have religious restrictions or you have psychological restrictions. Again, this way a sexologist will help you. Why don't you want to do it? All right? Remember, it's about service. And anything you give your mind to, the human being is the greatest machine that exists. You are so adaptable if you are willing to give yourself to it. So please serve your partner. So those are the areas I feel there's limitation. We're not into toys. We don't believe in things like anal sex. For us, we don't believe in it. Because it's bringing harm. Anything that is bringing harm, guilt, or shame. We believe there's harm in that. There's uncleanness in that. That's what we believe. But, yes. So, but basically, there's a limit to how much we can impose in your bedroom. That's the honest truth. We're not going to be there with you. So, as long as you don't kill, nobody dies. You don't bring shame or guilt. You don't bring harm to each other. You don't expose yourself to diseases. Really, it's your concern. Is your concern. So that's how we generally answer that question.
Wow, round of applause. Thank you. So that's an amazing, man, we should be charging for this. I'm going to have Pastor Mo actually help me. Pastor Moyo, if you want to help me quickly talk about the vow renewal details. I don't want to mess up any of the details. Sorry to put Pastor Mo. Okay, please clap for Pastor Moyo.
All right, well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Just real quickly here. So one of the things that happened as we were starting the services, Dr. K began to sense in his heart that there'd be a need for some people who would like to renew their vows, which I believe is very important for us here. One of the things that we believe here is that the program that we have put together is really an opportunity for God to work on marriages in the house. So what we're going to be doing is we have this form that has been created and set up, so you can either use the QR code or you can use the bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/union rekindled, all lowercase letters, to just fill out an expression of interest form, collect your name, your contact information, and just right after the service, would invite you to meet with us up front here, and we'll take you back to a conference room where we would provide you some additional details on how the vow renewal would happen. And the expectation is that it will happen tomorrow on Sunday, but we would like to provide you some details on how you can prepare for that and how all of that's going to unfold tomorrow. Does that make sense? Yes? Good? Okay, all right.
Thank you very much. Round of applause for Pastor Moyo. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. It says, how do you cope with a spouse that can't seem to balance between his or her spirituality and time with the spouse? Balancing between spirituality and time with your spouse.
Okay. The truth is that in life we will constantly juggle life. That's what happens. We generally tell couples that you really don't balance time, you juggle time. There are certain seasons, some things will require more attention. If a woman has a newborn baby, there's no balancing to that. That baby needs attention more than you and needs it all the time. The baby can't fend for itself. So at those seasons, the couple needs to adjust to that season. There's a time when a man is either launching a new business or doing something that involves him traveling. You have to juggle that. All right? So I think as long as you are able to consciously pour into each other, all right, make the most of quality time as opposed to quantity. There are times you might not have quantity, but you need to make it quality. So it's a sign of maturity when you know how to juggle time. And my wife has a way she says it about the glass balls and the plastic balls. So let her continue from there.
Yeah, so, what he was saying was that, we really don't balance time. We kind of juggle time. And I see the different things in our lives as balls. So some things are glass balls, some things are rubber balls. There are some things that if you drop them, they won't break. We can pick them up later. But there are some things that if you drop them, they will break. So for instance, glass balls would be your raising your children, your time with your partner, your spiritual life. Rubber balls may be cleaning the house, maybe going to visit a friend. There's some things that are not so important that nothing really is destroyed if you drop it, right? So you just need to know what's more important per time. That's basically what it is. And be careful, what you drop and what you don't. So it's giving attention to some certain things. I think the question is, how do you balance your spiritual life and your partner? Now, marriage is quite different from a single life. Even the Bible is clear that if you are single, all your attention, your affection, your time, your everything is on how you please God. But God now understands when you're married that you also need time to please your partner. So he says, it's not only going to be about me anymore. There's someone else in your life that requires time. However, I believe that there's a place for giving God priority, right? But then also understanding that you can't be so heavenly minded that you are not of no earthly use. So you need to understand, maybe schedule time. This is where things like scheduling sex, scheduling date nights, those things come into play. Sometimes we think that things just happen. That's why we're saying that you have to be intentional. Sometimes be intentional about planning date night. Put it in the calendar. Put it on the fridge. The same way you put today is football, today is soccer, today is ballet. You know how you put all those things and put it on the fridge? Put date night in. Have a code for sex and put it there. Whatever. So anytime somebody, sorry, your children, code do. Code. So that, anytime you remember that, today is the day, you start adjusting your mind. Today we're having conversations, or today is a prayer day. Like, let me give you an example. When this question shouldn't take this long. But when we first got married, I had this notion, or rather this belief, that since I was getting married to a pastor, we'd wake up in the morning, we'll pray together, we'll study the word, he will preach to me, and, we'll just go on with our days. I actually believed it, honestly. And to be fair, to my husband, it's like an owl and a chicken being married. He's a night person, I'm a morning person. 4:30, my eyes are open wide. 4:30 is when he's just going to bed. So we meet each other in the bathroom. We cross each other in the bathroom. I'm going to pee because I just woke up. He's going to pee because he's going to bed. And so we don't have any of those morning. I can't talk to him in the morning. Anything before 11 is not making sense. So we can't have morning devotion. And then late at night, anything you say to me after 9 p.m.
At your own risk.
It's at your risk. I won't remember the conversation. I won't remember making any promise. I won't remember anything. After 9 o'clock, I'm just there. I'm not really there. It's just me, So I had to retrain my mind to say, there are other ways to meet this need. So how do we get the balance? And that's where working with God comes in. This we just said to me, it doesn't have to be morning devotion, it just has to be devotion. It doesn't even have to be every day. As far as you guys have your own separate devotions, what you guys are now coming together to do is a special thing. So we now have to start planning. So we schedule prayer. We schedule studying the word. Yesterday when we were on the plane, was when I showed him something. I said, I saw this thing in the scripture. It can be that time, because when in the plane, nobody is disturbing us. No children, nobody, nothing. Except the air hostess comes and we tell her to go away. It's just two of us. We have time, so I can share with him something I studied in the Word. He can share with me something. I can ask him questions. There's something you preached the other day. Are you sure? See what? I don't know. We can talk about it. So we had to come up with those times. And I also noticed something about my husband. My husband doesn't like anything that is, what do you call that thing?
Regimented.
Regimented. Just like anything. So if I say every Monday we are going to pray, next you will do it 3 weeks. The fourth week, something will just come up. So this just said to me, don't book those kind of times where you say, you know how women do, I want to talk to you. Don't do it, women. It doesn't work. Just talk when you see them. So I'll just lie down in the middle of a movie, something, I'll just pause it and just say, in Jesus' name. Don't say amen, sir. Maybe it's Jesus. And then I'll just say, let's just go ahead and thank God. I will just pray 30 minutes, and then sometimes in that 30 minutes, he's now getting into it. And I'm saying, hey, correct, let's do this. And then after that, I'll just unpause the movie and he'll watch it and I will sleep off because I don't, So my point is, you have to find what works. That's what real intimacy is. Understanding each other. You move a bit, I move a bit. I'm uncomfortable, you make me more comfortable. You're uncomfortable. We talk, we're friends. I'm not out to get you. We're together in this. So if I feel that, you are being, in quotes, and what if you're even calling spiritual time? God wants you to spend time with your partner too. So that thing you are doing, it may not even be for God. It may be to make yourself feel self-righteous. I'm praying 24 hours. If you pray 10 hours, it's okay. If you even pray 10 minutes, God has heard you. Go and answer your spouse, then go back and continue. Because I don't even think your partner requires 24 hours either.
But please, I want to recommend for all the guys here, there's a book I brought. It's titled How to Make Love to a Woman Without Touching Her. So please, if you're a guy, I really highly recommend that book. It will help you understand how to make love to your wife without touching her. She would like you to touch her, but you need to learn how to get her in the mood. That's what I'm saying. So it's a good book.
Thank you so much, sir. Round of applause, please. Round of applause, please. That was amazing.